Hello everyone, this is Cherie, and this is my March 2020 wrap-up vlog, where I go over all the media I consumed in the month of March. Starting off with books. I read one book in March, The Bookshop Below. Now this, I had seen this book laying on a stack of books in a Kate Kavanaugh video, so I knew nothing about it. But the title intrigued me, and the fact that Kate had it just so openly displayed in her vlog made me decide to check it out from the library. And I'm glad I did. I really enjoyed it. It has a great magic system. It's a fantasy book, and I think it's going to be part of a series. It's about these bookshop owners who are in charge of these magical books. So they kind of have powers themselves as well, and they are all connected by this river that runs underneath all the bookshops. So yeah, if you like fantasy, you like magic systems, I would definitely recommend The Bookshop Below. I did not read any screenplays in March. I started to, but honestly, they were both kind of boring, so I just didn't get through them. One was Hamnet, and one was Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. I will read them, I will finish them, because I'm a completionist, but I just didn't read them this month. I did watch a series, however, a limited series, 9 Perfect Strangers, season 2. And I actually enjoyed this one more than season 1. Dr. Nicole Kidman, she has this retreat where she puts people on psychedelics, and they work through their problems, but there's this big backstory with her and her own family, and it takes place in this kind of like snow lodge. I enjoyed that one. I think I liked it more than the first season. And on to movies. I saw 2 movies at the cinema. The first one was a retro showing of The Lost Boys from 1987, I believe. And I went to see it because they shot it in Santa Cruz, and I had seen it once before, but it was on this really bad VHS tape, and the TV I was watching it on was really dark and stuff, so I couldn't fully appreciate it. Now, let me say, I think this story has a bunch of problems, but it was fun, and I can understand why it's like a cult classic, and it had some nice shots of the boardwalk in Santa Cruz. And the next movie I saw was Project Hail Mary. And I spoke last year about how much I loved the book. So they did a really good job adapting the book. I mean, the book, of course, had so much more and leaned harder into the science, I think. The movie was much more fun, fun and goofy kind of. But I'm really glad that it's a blockbuster, and hopefully it will get more people to want to read the source material. And Ryan Gosling, of course, is so charming, so he can carry a movie where he's practically the only character for most of it. Now, the first weekend in March was the annual Alfred Hitchcock Festival and in Scotts Valley, and that's because Alfred Hitchcock used to live in the mountains of Scotts Valley. He had a place in LA as well, but he really liked it up here. And that's why a lot of his movies take place in kind of the Bay Area. The first night they screened his very first feature, which he actually co-directed with his wife. It was called The Pleasure Garden, and it was a silent film, and they had a piano accompaniment, which was really good. The person playing the piano did some really humorous stuff with the cues, and it really made the silent aspect move along a lot better than it would have without the accompaniment. It wasn't your typical Hitchcock, it was a romance melodrama, but at the end there were these little bits and pieces that kind of leaned into what Hitchcock's movie would soon become. And then the next day I saw Alfred Hitchcock's final film, which was called Family Plot. And I had never heard of this, and I'm really glad they showed it. It was a very fun mystery thriller type film. So if it's playing, I definitely give it a watch. And March is also the annual Letterboxd March Around the World challenge. And what you try to do is watch, they say 30 movies, I always make it 31. 31 movies from different countries that you have never seen before. So, and also March is Women's History Month. So what I tried to do was make all the global films I was watching also be directed by women. And I was able to find 19 that were directed by women. Now, one of the things that you had to do for the challenge was watch a movie from Lebanon. I watched The Insult, but I want to talk about 11 other films that I liked a lot and would recommend and would watch again. 8, A South African Horror Story. I love movies that showcase different cultures, horror movies with different cultures and their rituals and stuff like that. And 8, A South African Horror Story really delivers on that. Next, Ahtanajuat. This is from Canada, and it's a completely Inuit-made film. And it's about an ancient Inuit legend. And you even got to see them building an igloo, which is something I was always curious about. So that was really cool. Charlatan from the Czech Republic. And this was based on a healer who used natural healing methods, and he would diagnose people from their urine. And he had a great success, but of course, you know, he was also condemned by the government and stuff like that. And then Kokoko from Russia. This was so cute. This was like an Odd Couple movie with a female buddy movie. And you have these two women that meet on a train, and then things happen, and one of them ends up staying at the other's apartment. Really cute. I can't wait to watch that one again. And Kokoko, the title is because the uneducated woman forgot the word for Rococo, the art movement, so she called it Kokoko. And then Macario from Mexico. This is a very famous fantasy film, like a supernatural fantasy. Was actually, I believe, nominated for Best International Film at the Oscars. It didn't win, but it was really good. Kind of like not quite a Faustian story, but along those lines. Miss Minus from Netherlands. And this is about a cat who drinks some, you know, like radioactive fluid or whatever, kind of like a Marvel comic. And the cat turns into a human. And she helps this reporter uncover these seedy dealings that are going along because she can speak cat language, and she gets all her information from the cats. It's really cute. It's a family film based on a famous Dutch novel. Next up, My Brilliant Career. So this is from Australia. It had been on my list forever, but I mean, I just wasn't ever interested because, like, the time period, like, see how they're dressed and everything. But it was wonderful. It was about a woman who kind of bucks convention, and it's very inspiring. Yes, I loved it. And next, Swept Away. There was a remake of this. It's an Italian film, but there was a remake done with Madonna. And, you know, it has it's in the similar vein to like Triangle of Sadness. And from what I hear, Send Help. You know, like two people are stranded on an island, and, you know, one person has the skills, and then the other person has to, you know, kind of start to be nice. Tombs of the Blind Dead. This is a Spanish horror, and it's kind of like a B horror, but it's really well done. I even was a little surprised at how they ended it, because it wasn't like a stereotypical like horror ending. So that's going to definitely go on my international horror watch list if I ever do another one of those. Next up, The Voice of Hind Rajab. This was from Tunisia, and it's based on true events. It was up for an Oscar this year, but I think it lost to Sentimental Value, if I'm not mistaken. But I loved it. Actually, I thought that The Voice of Hinra Job was the one that should have won. Finally, Zama from Argentina. And this has such a good story. It's about a guy who wants to leave this area where he's working and get promoted to go to a different area, but then there's all these things that happen, and they keep like dangling the carrot in front of him, and it's just wonderful. And this is another one I'd heard about. I didn't really want to watch it because, again, the clothes and like look at the picture, but it was great, and I can't wait to see that one again too. So yeah, I would rewatch any of those 11 that I just mentioned. And then the catch-up films, films that have been on my list forever, I've heard about, and I finally got around to seeing them. Cat Ballou, starring Jane Fonda. And this is a comedy western, and there's lots of singing, and it's just really fun. So I would recommend Cat Ballou if you like westerns and you like Jane Fonda. And finally, Rental Family, starring Brendan Fraser. And he plays an actor in Tokyo who takes an assignment to act for people. So like, say they need to be married, he'll pretend he's the groom, and then the person can go away and be with the other person they really wanted to be with, stuff like that. And he becomes kind of like a father figure to this little girl. She thinks he's her long-lost dad, and of course things are going to spiral out of control. And it was just wonderful. It was lovely. So Rental Family, that did come out in 2025, so it hasn't been on my list for that long, but it's just one that I don't think it came into our theaters, and then it was never on any of the streaming services that I watched. So glad I finally caught that. And then the rest of March was just me getting the Project Santa Cruz Kickstarter up and running. Man, that takes a lot of work. It's, of course, everything in making a film takes a lot longer than you think it will. So it's been up just over a week right now. We're only 5% funded. So we need to get more backers. I'm releasing new update videos every few days about it. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully I will be able to shoot Project Santa Cruz. So that's it for my month of March, and I will see you next time.